Mainframe Computer. During the 1950s and 60s, Unisys, maker of the UNIVAC computer, International Business Machines Corporation, IBM, and other companies made large, expensive computers of increasing power. They were used by major corporations and government research laboratories, typically as the sole computer in the organization. In 1959, the IBM 1401 computer rented for $8,000 per month. Early IBM machines were almost always leased rather than sold, and in 1964 the largest IBM S/360 computer cost several $1 million. These computers came to be called mainframes, though the term did not become common until smaller computers were built. Mainframe computers were characterized by having, for their time, large storage capabilities, fast components, and powerful computational abilities. They were highly reliable, and, because they frequently served vital needs in an organization, they were sometimes designed with redundant components that let them survive partial failures. Because they were complex systems, they were operated by a staff of systems programmers, who alone had access to the computer. Other users submitted batch jobs to be run one at a time on the mainframe. Such systems remain important today, though they are no longer the sole, or even primary, central computing resource of an organization, which will typically have hundreds or thousands of personal computers, PCs. Mainframes now provide high-capacity data storage for Internet servers, or, through time-sharing techniques, they allow hundreds or thousands of users to run programs simultaneously. Because of their current roles, these computers are now called servers rather than mainframes. Supercomputer. The most powerful computers of the day have typically been called supercomputers. They have historically been very expensive and their use limited to high-priority computations for government-sponsored research, such as nuclear simulations and weather modeling. Today many of the computational techniques of early supercomputers are in common use in PCs. On the other hand, the design of costly, special-purpose processors for supercomputers has been supplanted by the use of large arrays of commodity processors, from several dozen to over 8,000, operating in parallel over a high-speed communications network. Mini-computer. Although many computers date to the early 1950s, the term was introduced in the mid-1960s. Relatively small and inexpensive, mini-computers were typically used in a single department of an organization and often dedicated to one task or shared by a small group. Many computers generally had limited computational power, but they had excellent compatibility with various laboratory and industrial devices for collecting and inputting data. One of the most important manufacturers of mini computers was Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC, with its Program Data Processor, PDP. In 1960 DEC's PDP-1 sold for $120,000. 5 years later its PDP-8 cost $18,000 and became the first widely used mini-computer, with more than 50,000 sold. The DEC PDP-11, introduced in 1970, came in a variety of models, small and cheap enough to control a single manufacturing process and large enough for shared use in university computer centers. More than 650,000 were sold. However, the microcomputer overtook this market in the 1980s.